Hey guys, how you doing? So I'm sitting in my sleeper, bored out of my mind in North Carolina. If you watched any of my other videos, I goofed up and missed my unload appointment, so I'm stuck here for the weekend till Monday to get unloaded. It was my mistake. Anyways, so I'm done cleaning out the sleeper. I did laundry. I went to Walmart, did grocery shopping. I scrubbed the floor up in front because it was all covered in mud and salt. I took out my little carpet from the sleeper area and blew it out with my blower. I'm done cleaning inside of here other than a little bit of trash I got to throw out. And so I'm bored out of my mind. And I got a couple questions on the Uber Freight application. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm still learning it. And so a couple things I have learned, and hopefully it'll answer some of the questions. When you go to do a search, I got asked if there's any local deliveries. You can kind of pick using this, the anywhere. So when you click on the search, you can click anywhere as your destination, or you can pick any of the places where you've recently done searches. Or, if you do that thing where you start typing in, whatever, it'll give you a drop down to find the cities you're looking for, right? And so the other thing for your destination is you can select how far you want your trips to be. So for those of you guys that like the local runs, you can click on 0 to 100. There's 68 matches. If you look at the bottom, if you click on that, it'll then show you those 68 results. In my opinion, these are not very good paying loads. If you combine the time to get loaded and the time to get unloaded, your time versus money ratio goes south really quick. If you look at this top one, it's about a 10-hour ordeal from 8 in the morning to 1700 at the end of the day, and you're making $320, so it's like you're making $30 an hour. I can go get a $30 an hour job and not have an investment in equipment or insurance or anything else. It just doesn't make sense. And so, these do exist. At the very least in the LA market, you struggle to get these loads done quickly. There's a lot of traffic in LA, plus your load and load time at the end of the trip. To me, these are not feasible loads. Very possibly in other markets, it may work out better. But for now, I'm sticking with the LA market, and you'll see in a minute why here. And so at the very top here, it does seem like they're offering a power-only system. They're calling it a power loop. So it's available in this area. In the last place I looked, I did not see any. And so I'm assuming they're available in the LA market, because there's a lot of distribution centers there. The major carriers, your JB Hunts, your Swift, a lot of your bigger carriers have terminals there. There's also the ports. So there's a lot of trailers to be moved. And, it very well could be that there's a whole market there that's halfway decent. Anyway, so you have that option. You can filter how you want these loads to appear. You can do, single loads, a load with multiple stop, round trip bundles, and one-way bundles. And so the one-way bundles, I believe, are geared. Okay, they don't have any in the LA. Oops. They don't have any of those in the LA market. And so I believe what the one-way bundles are is if you were to grab a load from, let's just say, Atlanta, Georgia, that Atlanta, Georgia load could go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then, you know, maybe you deadhead from Tulsa to Oklahoma City, you grab another load and you take it to, you know, Henderson, Nevada, you drop it, and then you grab a load in Las Vegas and you drop down into Southern California. That's what I assume they mean by one-way bundles. The round trip bundles, I have seen a couple here locally. There's 54 matches. I'll see if I can demonstrate one real quick. And so the very top is a dedicated load. So here's 3 loads as a bundle. I'll see if I can't demonstrate it relatively quickly. I think this showed up on my last one. So these are 3 loads. And so if you look at the map here, I wonder if I can expand that map. Maybe not. So that's first load pickup, and then that's your first load drop off. I'm hitting the arrow here to the right on the map. So that's your first load drop off, and then there's your second load pickup, and then there's your second load drop off, and then there's your third load pickup, and there's your third load drop off. And it brings you back relatively close to where you started. It's not exactly as laced together as an Amazon tour, as they call it, would be. And so as you can see, your total loaded distance is going to be 1,100 miles at, you know, $3.28 per mile, which isn't bad for that many miles. You start on February 21st at 2,100, and at the end, you end on February 25th. And so, you know, the drawback for me is, so you're over 4 days into this for $36.66. It's a little shy of that, you know, $1,000 a day mark I'd rather be hitting. So I probably wouldn't be all that interested in these. I just figured I'd demonstrate what those are. And then what else did they offer? Multi-stops. Multi-stops pretty simple. I mean, you know, you look at those and essentially it's you have, you know, 1 pick, multiple drops, or 2 picks, 1 drop, that kind of thing. The thing to be careful with those is how many days you burn up. Like this one's not too bad. You start at 1 in the afternoon, you finish at 7 in the morning the next day. You know, you still made $10.75, and your overall pay is, you know, $3.14. And so if we look at this one on the map, yeah, it's 2 picks, 1 drop, but it doesn't show it as multiples on the map for some reason. Not really sure why that is. The other thing I didn't demonstrate before is if you click there, it kind of shows the location, and then it shows ratings that we can put in. And so people kind of describe, you know, how bad their load time is or isn't. And that's kind of helpful, I think, when we're trying to decide if we want to take a load or not. Because sometimes we think a load's great until we get there and we find out it's going to take them 7 hours to load 5 rolls of paper, like they did to me the other day, right? Anyway, so, and I keep backing out of the application. There's got to be another button to push there that I'm missing. Anyway, so let's get back to, I wanted to show you guys the LA market, not just because I'm from there, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's there. They got about 300 loads. There's a dedicated run, and then there's the option of power only. But I wanted to, for the sake of most of you guys have this interest in Amazon, and so this is Amazon trailer required. Basically, it's not power only because that's how the Uber Freight filter is set up also. And so right off the bat, we've got a load going to Phoenix, There's 2 loads going to Phoenix. There's 3 loads going to Phoenix at about 8:15. So let's just, for shits and giggles, there's one of my applications telling me there's loads available. Let's see what comes up. They got 26 loads going. So let's compare the 2 and just see where they're at. So this is at $3.19 a mile for 7.26. There's $3.49 a mile for 8.15. There's, I'm not really sure how this came up to less per mile. This says it's 234 because it's from Rialto, and this is from Fontana, and Tempe's in that same neighborhood. That's kind of strange. 399 miles, and this one says there's 234 miles. Interesting. So here's one from San Bernardino out to Casa Grande. Now, Casa Grande is on the other side of Phoenix. It's not exactly Phoenix. And so anyways, you can see here, you know, they're ranging from the low side of 726 up to, you know, 925 or so. And so if we switch back over here, you know, they're at 815 with Amazon. Now, the thing to remember with Amazon loads is when you bring your own trailer and you're a live unload, you could sit there half a day trying to get unloaded at some of these places. They're not all that bad, but a lot of them are pretty bad. And so this is a really well-paid load. Whoops, let me turn off the refresh. Oh, where'd that go? Okay, so there's a load to Stockton from Rialto. And so let's see what we can find and compare that here. So Visalia's closer than Stockton. It's to the south quite a bit. So it's not exactly apples and apples. So here's 1,075 for 324 miles. I'm not sure where this location is, so I'm not going to compare it. There's 1 pick, 2 drops in Tracy. Tracy's close to Stockton. That's a fair enough comparison. San Jose is kind of more towards the Bay Area. I wouldn't really compare those two because going to San Jose is going to mean a lot more traffic. But you can say it's between $800 and $1,200 depending on the load, right? The load side was this one, but Visalia's closer. It's not in that area. So everything's at least $1,000 or better. And so your Amazon load was at about $1,000. And so it seems to me like, you know, the freight through Uber is better paid. So we'll move on. There's a New York load. I know most of you guys don't do long hauls, but okay, so there's a New York load. Let's see if we find anything. Five matches. So there's 6,000, 5,700, biddings available, which means they're probably not getting it filled for that amount. There's 6,700. There's 5,590. And so what was our price over here? 53.49. And so their price is lower than every single price in here. And again, you'll get to deal with Amazon's huge disorganization when it comes to getting yourself unloaded. For those of you guys that do power only, and you've never done Amazon live load, they are the worst in the industry. When we switched away from Amazon, and I had drivers that were somewhat frustrated, I kind of didn't understand why they were so frustrated. I felt like we were making pretty good money. Until we started running some of these other hauls, and I realized, holy cow, you show up to Target distribution center, you have an appointment, they won't let you show up more than a half hour early, but within that half hour, they'll have you at a door, and 20 minutes after that, you're empty, and they're pushing you, clear my door, I got another truck to come in. At least that's been my experience with Target. The only one that kind of, in my mind, compares to Amazon in terms of how dysfunctional they are is a couple Walmart locations can be bad that way. Granted, I don't know any of these locations that we're looking at, but the beauty is, with the way this application's set up, you can look at the rating. Someone gave it 4 stars and they're saying it's a little tight. There's a total of 13 ratings, which we can go look at. Okay, so they're saying it's not really a good place for 3. All right, so this person complained, the one at the top there, they complained that they had to wait. Person gave it 5 stars, saying they unloaded a day before delivery appointment. Nothing wrong with that. Anyways, so that's kind of the upside. If Amazon offered this kind of rating on their locations, we all know what would happen there, right? Anyway, so I just kind of wanted to give a little side-by-side comparo that way. Again, I know some of you guys are really gung-ho about Amazon, and you've probably seen, other trucking companies start up with Amazon. 5 years ago, they had 1 truck, and with Amazon, they've grown to 6, and the owners are doing well. Maybe they moved into a bigger house. Amazon was that a few years ago. I don't think they're that now. I did try to get some dedicated work, and they had no interest in talking to me. And so some say, well, you have to have enough trucks. Let's see. No, it doesn't show it on this board. I have to go to the desktop version. I was going to show you guys how many trucks I had going with them at one point. I want to say it was 6, and they had no real interest. And so here's a load to Utah. This is going to Salt Lake City. Let's compare that. There's 39 matches. And so American Fork, I don't think, is in that same area. So here's 315 a mile, 302 a mile, so 2,000. Yeah, Spanish Fork, I think, is in a different spot. And so 2,000 seems to be the base price, right? This one's gonna allow bidding, probably because it's got to go quick and they don't have enough interest in it. So $2,000 is about the going rate. and we see where Amazon is. Now granted, that's a Monday load. If no one takes it before Monday, that's the upside to Amazon. That load may end up going for $2,500. That is the advantage with Amazon. If you're patient and you can afford to sit and wait till the middle of the night before the load goes, and you're not gonna, go broke if you end up not booking anything because you got beat to those loads, you can make good money. It's a little riskier, but you can do it. So there's a load to Henderson, Nevada. Let's see what the Vegas looks like here. $95 loads. So there's 980, 8 1/4, but we're not going to consider that one because it's going to be multiple drops. Why is that saying to Tempe, Arizona? Probably because each one has a circle. All right, so the verifiable one is for 980. That's also going to Henderson. And so we compare that to the Amazon load at, $500. You can see why people like me say Amazon's fine and dandy, but I wouldn't make it the only trick in my hat. I wouldn't put all in with Amazon. I saw another YouTuber post that you just got to get out there and develop a relationship. There's no relationship with Amazon. You're a number, you're a component in an algorithm that they developed an application with, and the minute you're not performing, they drop you. I want to say we did like close to $300,000 with them last year. And, when I saw the loads drying up with Amazon and I stopped working for them, do you think someone reached out and said, hey, Mr. Garcia, we noticed you're not working for us anymore. Did something happen? Is there something we can do to bring you back? We appreciate you. Nothing like that happened. Nothing like that happened at all. Do you think anyone cared? No. They just figured there's going to be some new sucker coming along and he'll take those $1.45 a mile loads. So why worry about Mr. Garcia? They don't have a system where you develop a relationship with an individual. You have a relationship with this application on your phone and they'll drop you in a minute. You don't matter to them. I mean, collectively, all of us matter. But what matters to them is that we're willing to fight each other for these loads and take them at $1.50 a mile. That's what they want from us. They're probably not real happy I show you guys these tricks on how to find the higher paying loads. But, what are they going to do? Blackball me? I'll put it on my YouTube that, hey, they blackballed me for this. And then you guys will really see how, the corporate world works, right? Anyway, and I'm not trying to badmouth them. Every load we did, we got paid for. We got paid for timely. They're not a bad organization, but you need to learn to work the system and not be a pawn in theirs. And like I say, opening your eyes to other opportunities, loads like these, making better money for the equipment you have is better than trying to add more trucks to Amazon thinking you're going to reach some plateau and things are going to get a lot better. Basically, the people that are in those dedicated runs are lucky they're in there. And, that was kind of my whole goal, was to get on some of those dedicated loads. My operation in the oil field is not too far from El Paso, Texas. They're building a distribution center. My goal was to build up my score and, add enough trucks I got a fleet of trucks that we were running with them at one point, and the goal was for them to come to us and say, hey, we'd like for you to bid on a couple lanes, and then I could assign a driver to it and put them on whatever, solo twos, and have them just run, out for a day and back home every night for an El Paso driver. That's a beautiful thing. But they never reached out to us. They never seemed to care. And when the rates seemed to drop and they started doing the short-term contracts and the load board started drying up, I looked somewhere else and I found that there's way better loads to be had in other directions. Anyway, if you guys have any more questions about this load board with Uber, I think it's pretty good. Their insurance requirements are much less than your Amazon requirements. I get that if you're going to open up a new authority next month, next week, whatever, I get that Amazon's ideal because they'll let you start working immediately, whereas most brokers won't. I'm not really sure what the criteria is with Uber. My authority went active in 2013, and it's been continuously active ever since. So when they look mine up, that's what they see. They see an active carrier since 2013. Anyways, I hope this helps, guys. I hope you guys can see that there's other fish to fry out there, and don't get all, excited and fired up over one client. Putting all your eggs in one basket hurts. I've experienced it more than once. A client comes to me when we were in the oil field. They come to me and say, we'd like to offer you more work if you want to dedicate trucks to us. And you think to yourself, this is great. I dedicate more trucks to them. They stay busy solidly. And then I add more trucks. I buy more trucks to go service my other clients. Well, before you know it, they asked you to add 5, but you really need 7 to keep up. And then they give you sporadic other work. So before you know it, that 5 truck commitment turns into 10, and you're adding trucks not to go bring in more customers, but just to keep the contract that they gave you. I mean, it sounds all fine and dandy. A 5 truck deal turned into a 10 truck deal, and it's great, and the money's good. But then one thing happens. One person says the wrong thing to the wrong individual, or one driver makes a mistake and moves a load to the wrong place, and you lose it all. Now all of a sudden you got 10 trucks sitting. That's kind of the types of lessons I learned in the oil field, and it hurts. It hurts because your oil field trucks make, $9,000 to $15,000 a week, and so all of a sudden you lose 10 trucks worth of work, and you lose them before you even know you lost it. Something happens, someone gets rubbed the wrong way, and tomorrow they don't call for as many trucks. You don't even know you've lost the work yet, and you're already being replaced. Anyway, so I just wanted to share the Uber Freight thing. I'm kind of digging on this application. I think the rates are good. Granted, it might be a short-term thing because there's still a lot of trucks stranded due to weather, but you can see comparatively, they kind of beat Amazon in the non-impacted areas, don't they? Anyways, as always, guys, thanks for watching.